this is a question that will generate qualitative research. Could you come up with a question? Come up with a question you think this is a good qualitative research question. Okay? Could you generate one? Generate a good qualitative question. Okay? So what is a qualitative research question look like? What is a good qualitative research question look like?
Yes. First, you start with how, why, what is the questions? Can you please good quality questions? We can use that as our question proposal question. Opinion and perspective. For example, what kind of questions do you have? We have questions. Elena. For me, that time I use what propose the leadership this one, and then we will use home because everything is quantitative. Do you find it?
Okay, each group, please type up your question, just one, okay? Okay, where did I type questions? I thought questions. What did I type?
Oh, it's in the announcement.
No, I don't want it to be in the announcement.
Yeah, you should.
I think, let me put it here. Okay, so could you just Okay, please type up your question. Okay, let's take a look. So what makes a qualitative question? So each group, please, the group one type what? Okay, type it up here. Type it up. Okay, go to Moodle and then type up your question. Okay, we'll take a look at your question. Okay, I said one group and just type up with one question. Okay. Which group? So group 1, okay, so say G1, group 1, group 2, group 3, and group 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. that will invite qualitative inquiry. Okay.
Professor, any other topics we can use? I mean, it's
No, we can come up with whatever topic that you
okay.
choose. As a group, okay, discuss with your group and come up with one question. Okay, as a whole group, you don't have to, everyone has to upload, just one member in your group. So type up that question after your discussion. Type up one question after your discussion. What makes a qualitative research question?
What are these guys?
Have you discussed? Okay.
This is my question. What is it for question? I just come up with this. I think if you could find any other topics that would be great.
We have to give
Just one of us, right? Someone, all of us. One of us. Which group of us?
but I feel like we have to go between history and politics and education.
Come up with a question. Just come up, type the question.
It's like he is
How to get up.
it's like
Hey, somebody's always happening. It's happening up with the English and what we call it. Greece. Greece. The name.
it's like regarding the qualitative regarding the qualitative
Alright, let's take a look at Q1. How do you perceive the emotional labor of English teachers' work based on your teaching experience? Okay, let's read it again. Okay. How do you perceive the emotional labor of English teachers' work based on your teaching experience? Oh, very high level of question. Okay. All right, group one. I think this is a very good one. Okay. Based on your experience, how do your perception? Okay. Based on your experience, based on your perception. So this is apparently a very qualitative nature of research question. Okay. Research question. I would say, everybody, I would say this could be one of the interview questions, okay? If we want to make it like a research question, how can we modify this into a research question? This doesn't look like a research question, right? This is like an interview question because I'm asking you. Okay. If we want to modify that, this one into a research question, how would you? What would be? How can we modify this?
How is the perception of the emotional labor of the teachers' work based on
their
teaching
experience?
experience?
What is the perception of emotional labor of English teachers' work based on their teaching experiences? Okay, and definitely under this we have. That's why we have to go for literature review to see many different layers of interview questions. Okay, it's not only one research question and one interview question. Definitely not. There are many layers that we can try to understand their perceptions. Okay, good. What about this group? Group 2, let's see. So you will see various, okay, group 3, group 2. of the previous generation about the current what? What is this? What is an opinion of the previous generation about the current one? This is, okay, opinion of, okay, everybody, this could be what? When you read through the question, this question could be what?
Yeah, what topic?
What opinion of what? Okay, otherwise this could be your interviewees might talk about different things. So it has to be narrowing it down. Okay, so how can we help us narrow it down? First of all, you have to identify the area of your own interest. Once you have an area, then which one should we go next? Once you have an area of interest, you have to go to what can help us narrow down? Literature review. Okay. Literature review will become your close friends, okay? Before you graduate, everything is about literature review because literature reviews tell you where and how to narrow it down to be focused. Okay? Alright. So make it right. So this is another way of you're trying to investigate. You want to know. So your opinions. So the topic has to narrow it down, but the issue has to be issue. This is only an opinion. You try interview, you are not only trying to get an opinion. You probably want to know, why do you asking this question? Because you want to know the perceptions between two generations. The perception of what between two generations. And you have to define, so what is the previous one, what is the current one, how old is the previous one. Okay, what about these two generations in terms of their age, in terms of their gender or whatever, okay, or their occupations or where they live. A lot of issues to, okay, decide. Okay, what about next one? What? Should I go? So, group 3, done? To the recycling, blah, blah, blah. So we have done, okay, so we haven't done this one yet. How does technology influence nowadays students? Okay. This is, I think that this how, when we have how to get started with, it's qualitative in nature, okay? It's not only do you think yes or no, okay? Technology influence nowadays students. I think this, once again, we have to make it more specific. College students, secondary students, and technology students in what way? In reading and writing, or connection, or whatever. Okay, you have to make it more specific. Otherwise, think about how you're going to find your literature review. When you try to type in the keywords, you will understand, my question is too broad. Because I don't even know what keywords to type in. So that means that your topic is too broad. We don't have a specific focus yet. So you don't have a keyword to fill in, to type in. Okay, so that's another way to check whether your research questions are too broad. Okay, but remember how it's a good feature to help you identify. This is qualitative in nature because you are trying to understand how. Okay. All right. Do I have all the questions? What about question group 4? Oh.
Refresh.
Where?
Refresh the.
Refresh. So how am I gonna here?
No.
Here. Oh, so group 4, right here. Okay. What factors contribute to language shift among?
Second generations.
Where is it?
It is a group in Indonesia.
Indonesia.
Yeah.
Oh, second generation. Generation or generations?
Generations, because there are many participants in second generations, include first generation as well.
So it's second generations.
Yeah, generations. Well, this is not my.
Is it second generation not as a whole? Is it second generation, this second generation, this second generation, this second generation?
Yeah.
Several second generations.
Certain second generation reside in certain area.
Okay. So then that, see, like whatever the question I have that.
Yeah.
So then you have to identify who are they?
Yes.
Why do they belong to this second generations?
Yes.
Okay, but this is again when we have what factors. I mean, so how are you going to do it? Interviews,
Yes.
observations.
Yes.
You probably need to do as a number if you want to do a very good one.
Questionnaire and live interview.
Interviews.
Yeah.
You want to do
Questionnaire and live interview.
Okay. If you think that you'll be able to see the language shift just by interview, then
Interview, questionnaire, and language test. 3 methods.
language what?
Language test.
Test. Okay, you will do test. Otherwise, they could say, oh, because of this, but in fact,
No.
no.
So,
You have to give a test.
Okay.
Yeah. It's good, okay, everybody. It's good to know other people's perception. They can always talk about, oh, I think. All right. But what they think is probably what is the reality is. Do you think so? Let me say it again. What one thinks sometimes does not reflect the reality. I can say, I think I'm really good at A. But do you, I can say my perception is that I'm really good at A. But the fact is, are you really good? Let me give you a test. Then we will see. So this objective, objective evaluation, that's why we always have mixed methods, multiple perspectives and multiple methods. We wouldn't just take whatever your participants say, right? You say they can feel that they are good, that's one perspective. But let's test and see whether they are really good. Okay. Dima, you have other response?
I am good at A, but the question is in comparison to
What?
who or what.
Yeah, good. And then in comparison with what, as a researcher, when you said you want to judge whether what they say is good or bad or whatever level, you have certain criteria to say, okay, to show. So to report what exactly their level is. Because everyone's level, everyone's perception, when I say I'm good, I probably say I'm 95%. I feel like when I'm 95%, I dare to say I'm good. But for some people, 75, they think it's good enough. So I can claim I'm good. So everyone's attitude could be very different. So you want to report their perception, but you also want to report the reality based on certain criteria or standards too. Okay? Good. So that's about. So next time, once again, when you submit your proposal, I'll read through your research questions. You could have, I would ask you, so are these qualitative in nature? Okay, because this is a qualitative research method. I want you to at least include one qualitative research questions. Okay. Last semester, I have students. I know that you are conducting research for another course. I know, because based on the question itself. I can't say, oh, you cannot use other course materials. However, it has to be qualitative research in nature. If your question is like this, is A significantly higher than B? Sorry, it's not a qualitative research. Okay, you probably need to run SPSS in order to answer your question. Significant significantly, if A is significant different from B, then that's quantitative in nature. You wouldn't be able to have a qualitative investigation. Okay, so I will ask you to rethink your research questions. Okay, now let's move on. Okay, the second one is about setting. Okay, it's about setting. In your mind, what is a qualitative research setting? What could be a qualitative research setting? Always say setting, right? It could be a bigger contest. It could be. Let me ask you: could a lab, okay, experimental laboratory, a qualitative research setting, or it's a good, appropriate, or ideal experimental lab?
I think depending on the experimental lab, there's different labs, even experimental, have different subjects. They are like experimenting on physics, chemistry, so this also need to be clarified.
Okay, let me say that it's a experimental lab means that all the variables are controlled, and you just came in and then answer the questions. Okay, do you think it's a good setting? Ideal setting for qualitative research? Everything is under controls, and it's in a lab, experimental lab. Do you think it's an ideal, I'm saying ideal setting for qualitative research? Okay, probably not. Okay, qualitative research, it has a lot to do with just natural. So if you want to understand the classroom situation, it's a natural situation without any control. We just want to know as natural as possible. Okay, so setting has a lot to do with the natural one. So when it is natural, it has some challenges, right? Because it's not under control. So it's difficult to, the setting is so natural, everything is going on, right? And how can you really get in and really capture what is really going on? So the entry point could be challenging because a lot of teachers they don't want to be observed. If you don't trust them, they don't trust you well enough, they don't want you to get into the classroom. Okay, and when a lot of things are going on, it's also challenging for the researchers to really observe and to get what you want. Too much going on. Okay, so that's another limitation. So usually for novice researchers, they usually go with very experienced researchers, and they also, a lot of time they have the checklist to let you know what exactly you should pay attention to. So you got to, a lot more preparations need to be done in order to get in. Otherwise you will be overwhelmed by what is really going on. You don't know what to focus on. Okay, all right, so that's about setting. Now, I think for the rest of the time in this class, I want to focus on this too. Why is qualitative research, well, we can say it's finding, we could also say it's claims, okay? Claims or findings or understanding. We can say these are the understanding, these are the claims. But the claims and findings, they have some characteristics. And I would like you to know you don't have a hard copy, but you have laptop, whatever, right? Could you turn to page? Okay, let's take a look at your reading materials. Okay, I want you to, could you turn to page 36? 36. Okay. Is everybody on page 36 already? Okay. And 1, 2, 3. The third paragraph from the top. Okay. Could I invite Yes, yes.
In doing a research study, there can be a lot of pressure to reach conclusions and to feel that you are getting somewhere with answering your research questions. But research questions are rarely, if ever, answered. They may be satisfied for the time being, and the challenge and skill is not to be seduced by either the finiteness of conclusive findings on the one hand, or the constant open-endedness that you could do more on the other. So when you're methodical about time, you try to come to closure on your study while remaining open to alternative explanations of the data and extensions of the inquiry through new and related research questions. This is why research conclusions are called claims. The term captures both the balance and the interaction between being definite about what you find and being open-ended about what you can still speculate on.
Okay, good. Thanks a lot. So here, I think the author wants to give us some idea or some feature about qualitative research. Instead of saying that this is definite, okay, findings, they call it claims or the current understandings. Why so? Because all we try to do as qualitative researchers is try to be what? Just tell you, this is what I found so far, okay, based on all the process that I told you in the research paper. These are the what? These are the participants. This is how I went through, okay, and these are the findings that we have. So I gave you what I have so far, but meanwhile, the researchers could also, they still need to be open-minded, okay, to accept other alternative claims or understandings. Okay, this could be a bit. Let's take a look at this one here. If you look at this feature, let me take a look at. We have this feature here. All right. And here, what have you observed here? Can you see claims? Yeah. And when you see claims on this figure here, what can we say about claims? Claims are from the interaction between what? The data. And how could the researchers get the data? What's the difference between data and information? What's the difference between what's the difference between, oh, this is data versus, oh, this is information?
The information is the raw one. Data is the after processing the information.
Yeah, very good, very good. Okay, information is like what, right now, I got lots of information. I see lots of information. But data is what really matters to my research questions, to my research purpose. That will become data because that will be used to address my research questions, to fulfill my research purpose. Okay, so see, data is that you have specific place, okay, and then methodical, you have to apply certain, for example, you use interviews, you use observations, okay, and you conduct it at a certain time. You wouldn't just go and say and interview people. You know that you need to get to know them well enough and to decide valid interview questions, so then you can conduct this interview. So there are certain things, certain methods that you have to consider in order to go through the whole process to generate the data. You consider the appropriate setting, you consider the appropriate time and space, and go through the appropriate process to generate this data. Okay? Once you have the data, then you think about how you're going to address your questions. That will become your current understanding and claims. Okay? But as a researchers, you are also very clear about, during the whole process, if you choose a different place, going through a different time frame, okay? For example, you might have more time or less time, okay, to provide your participants. You might get, they went through different process, they might generate different data sets. Is that possible? Very possible, very possible. Okay, very possible. So if you are, that while you are very, very honest about the whole process that you went through, you are also aware and very sensitive about the claims and the findings, and you understand it could be different if your participant went through a very different setting and process. The data could be different. Would that make sense? Would that make sense? And this whole process, next time, if somebody told you, oh, qualitative research has no criteria, whatever, you can show them this. No criteria could be, it's still open. It is still open for different claims to be made, open for different interpretations, but it doesn't mean that no criteria. You still have to go through to decide what methods and how to generate your questions, to decide what methods and what's the place, what would be the setting, right, and the appropriate participants, the whole process that they have to go through. This is called a discipline. A discipline means that if you want your claim to be acknowledged in this field, you have to go through certain steps. Then people will recognize your claims. Okay? If you on your research community you say, hey, I will consider their claims. I will take it into consideration and see what kind of claims they make. You have to consider this discipline, the whole process. Okay, so please keep this discipline, this figure in mind when you conduct your own. You do have to take all these factors into consideration. Time and space, questions, the whole process, the data, the claims you make. Okay. All right. Should I give you some time to make sense of this figure? Okay, question.
I do understand why the requirements can be also made by this way.
This way?
Yeah, I can understand why data you've had claims and the why is this way.
Because I think this will lead a different place, will lead different methods, and will lead different time you use, and will lead different process and different data you get, and that would be also a very different outcome.
But does that mean claims are not included with this direction?
I think it is included because see that claim, this is interactive. This is interactive, right? And this depends on whole process there, right? And then the warrants will also influence, this claim will definitely, this whole process from the beginning till the end. So horizontal and vertical will also make impact on the warrants. I think right now, based on your reading log, a lot of you asked the question about warrants, okay? So now, based on what I have just explained, could you give yourself in your group some time to make sense what warrants are before I give my explanation? Okay? All right, go ahead. Okay.
So, like I say, ways to presentation.
Yeah, Florence, I'm
Similar to conceptual framework versus perhaps.
validation. Quality checker.
How is it?
After you finish, yeah, after you finish,
Thanks. Okay. Yeah. Good five seconds. First, you have to with your research team.
I found
Then you make some questions. Then also make sure whether your questions meet this
after you
kind
finish
of
your thesis,
study. You have to
implies that people that
that is what it's.
they are expertise in the field is combined in the study of application. So that it gives you more result. Yours is into the field of study.
The first step is
Yes, sorry. Claims is like the result.
Claims as a result.
Yeah. One is the quality checker.
Isn't that a double check?
Yeah, double check quality checker. And finally, if the course is defined, this is come up with the result of your slide.
It's fine. Award is instead of field goals.
I see. What is a standard? Standard already. I just need the standard. For example, if what is this? What is the criteria? If there is a criteria, then you can call it as a legal warrant. So I want to make sure you someone meet the criteria. Okay? This one is called standard. Just if you listen.
Okay, could I invite Angela? Could we turn to page 37, okay, if your laptop? Take a look at page 37 and warrant. Why should you be believed? That's the key concept. Warrants help you, okay, to make people believe what you have found. Let me say that again. Warrants help you, okay, to make people believe what you have found or what claims you have made. Okay, so let's take a look at this under this subheading, the second paragraph. A warrant is a standard. Okay, Angela, could you read it for us? A warrant, the second paragraph. Page 37, second paragraph.
A warrant is a standard that creates a justifiable
Okay, let's stop here. Thank you. A warrant is a standard that creates a justifiable reason for acting. Okay, so a warrant is that you need to justify why you want to find a place, why you want to interview those people, why you want to choose the time, why you want to stay there for such period of time. So all those justifications are warrants. All the justifications are warrants. Okay, it could start from your belief, okay, or your assumptions, your attitude. That as a researcher, you believe that this is something important, so you get started from this question, okay, your research question. And then after literature review, you decide your research methods. Definitely you have to have a lot of justifications to justify why you think these methods are the most appropriate ones. And after the methods, you decide the place, again, justification, what participants, how many. Each step, you need justifications. And all these are warrants. You have to make your readers know what are warrants, because those warrants help you to help your readers understand how your claims are made and why should they believe you, because you went through so many considerate, deep considerations and justifications. So that's why they should believe you. Have you heard about one word? When you bought a battery, right? Battery. There's always a word, warranty. Or you buy any kind of electronic devices, warranty. What does it warranty mean? Means that you can trust that it's a warranty 5 years. You trust this product is gonna last for 5 years. Warrants here is the same. Let me tell you what kind of process that I went through, what kind of considerations I put into this study, so that I gather this data, and based on the data, I generate all these claims. So I make them very specific and very, like you could be able to see it. Okay. It's unlike, like, you don't know how they make these claims. It's like it came up with nowhere. Then how should I believe you? Just because somebody says so, then I have to believe him. Okay. But instead, if you tell me, based on literature review, and this is how you come up with the research questions, and that's how you decide the methods, this is the time, the setting, and how you went through, and this is based on clear step of data analysis, then I come up with the claims. And it's up to you as a reader. Do you want to trust? Do you want to believe the outcome? Okay, the claims that the researchers made? Okay. So did you get the whole idea? Okay, so let me read it if you are still on page 37, okay? So it's here, it says, it is sort of like quid pro quo. I can't pronounce. Quid pro quo means conditions. Okay, it's a Latin word, Latin expression. It's conditions. Okay, it is sort of conditions in which this group of like-minded individuals agree to accept the claims as long as the claims meet the standard the community warrants. Okay, that's the whole idea. Is that why we as a qualitative research community have to believe what the claims you have made. And you can say, hey, because I went through this. All these procedures, that's why you should believe, you should trust what I have found. Okay, did I make the whole explanation clear? So for this chapter 2, okay, let me wrap up what we have learned today. There are 4 major features that make qualitative research qualitative. The first one, depending on the kind of questions you ask. There are certain questions that will lead to qualitative investigation. So you have to get started with asking good qualitative nature of, like inquiry. Otherwise, it's the same, like you're not asking the right questions, even though you get this set of answers. Sorry, they are not qualitative in nature. Okay, so asking right question is the fundamental one. Second one is the setting. The setting is natural. That makes qualitative research. It's not under lab, control all the variables. It's a natural setting because we are trying to understand daily life human beings experience. The third one is about the claims. While we are making the claims, we are also open-minded to accept the fact that other researchers coming in with different sets of beliefs, going through the different process, they might have different claims. Lastly is about warrants, it's the conditions. We have to make it clear about under what conditions that we make all these claims. Okay, so that's the summary of today. So if you have a clear idea about all these 4 concepts, you are all done. Okay, you get the idea. Alright? Okay, so that's what we have today. And so if you have questions, please feel free to come to me. If not, I'll meet you next week, and then we're gonna talk about interview. Okay, that will be the whole key bone of this course because it will be the method that we'll be using for this course. Okay, see you next week.